Hello, good morning. In this presentation, I will be discussing art history and the development of sculpture outside the Philippines. Now, if you still remember last meeting, we started our discussion on sculpture, its etymology, where the word came from, the different mediums and techniques in sculpture, the different kinds of sculptures, okay, such as carving, modeling, casting, construction, and assemblage. In continuation to our previous discussion is the history of sculpture outside the Philippines. Sculpture is actually regarded as the oldest art, the earliest being the carved drawing on rocks of caves. It is believed that these carvings were manifestations of spiritual, ritual, and manner of worship. Now, if you remember your art appreciation class, yung mga unang forms of arts were actually found inside caves. Prehistoric periods, yung panahon bago magtala ng kasaysayan yung mga tao, yung mga sinuunang tao na nanirahan sa panahon ng lumang bato, mga gathering, mga nomadic societies. Usually, they found shelter inside caves, lalo na kapag hindi maayos yung panahon. At naiwan yung ilan sa mga carvings sa loob ng caves that were discovered recently. Patunay na may forma or may form of art na yung mga sinaunang tao, at ang ebidensya doon, ang pinakalumang ebidensya doon ay yung mga ukit sa loob ng mga kuweba. So, this is the outline or the timeline of our discussion on the development of sculpture outside the Philippines. So we will be starting from the prehistoric period, yung mga panahon ng luma, bagong bato, yan. Then followed by the classical period, yung mga ancient civilizations such as Egyptian, Greek, Mesopotamian, Roman civilizations, focusing on sculpture of course. And then followed by the Middle Ages or the medieval period. So there we will be discussing some art movements, okay, artistic styles, particularly in sculpture such as Byzantine and Gothic sculpture. And then after the medieval period comes the Renaissance or the Enlightenment period. Okay. So we will be discussing the different sculptures or techniques in sculpture that rose during the Renaissance or Enlightenment period, and then the modern period up to the recent times. So in our discussion, I will be mentioning some notable sculptures or artworks from different sculptors, the notable artists in sculpture during this particular time periods. So as I've mentioned earlier, we will be starting we will be starting from the prehistoric period. So here are some of the notable artworks in sculpture during prehistoric times. Okay. The Venus of Willendorf. Okay. This is believed to have been produced between circa 30,000 to 25,000 BC. And this particular sculpture can now be found in Naturhistorisches Museum in Vienna, Austria. It's a fertility statue which gave emphasis on the female sexual attributes in the form of wide hips, kaya makikita nyo, no? Malapad yung kanyang balakang, and opulent breasts. Ayan yung mga simbolo ng fertility para sa mga sinaunang tao. Primitive men believed that fertility figure would remind them of their primary duty to mankind, that is to propagate the human species for fear of extinction. Again, kokoonti pa lang yung bilang ng mga tao during prehistoric times, mababa yung survival rate kasi nga yung kind of lifestyle that they had was primitive, hunting gathering yung society, nomadic yung kind of lifestyle, kaya mababa yung survival rate ng mga tao. Malaki yung role ng fertility ng mga kababaihan, no, para mapadami yung human race. So, to symbolize respect for womanhood, for bringing into the world future human beings. Kaya nagmamanifest sa kanilang art, particularly sa sculpture, no, yung pagpapahalaga sa fertility ng kababaihan. Kung ngayon ang standard natin ng kababaihan at kagandahan ng sexiness ay ano ba? Main standard natin ngayon ba, skinny, 'di ba? Coca-Cola figure. Before hindi, no, ganito yung sexy, ba, o yung standard ng beauty ng kanang katawan ng isang babae. Another example of a prehistoric sculpture is this carving of horse. This is made from ivory, and this can now be found in Vogelherd Cave. This was found in Vogelherd Cave in Germany. It's believed to have been produced circa 33,000 BCE. Okay. Isa sa mga common theme din ng mga prehistoric arts ay ipinapakita o inilalarawan dito yung mga images ng kung ano yung mga nakikita nila sa kanilang nature. Usually yung mga animals na kanilang hinahunt, diba? Yung animals na nakaka-interact nila sa kanilang environment. Kaya yun din madalas yung mga nakikita ng mga carvings or drawings or even paintings sa loob ng mga kuweba. Okay. So, ayan. Aside from that, okay, here's another example of a prehistoric sculpture. This is a 9,500-year-old Jericho skull containing human cranium packed with soil and covered with plaster to replicate individual facial features. Seashells are used to represent the deceased eyes. Kung naalala niyo last meeting, meron tayong dalawang major types or techniques in sculpture, di ba? Subtractive at saka yung additive. Pag additive, nagdadagdag ka. So, ito ang isang example ng additive, no, na technique sa sculpture. So, yung bungo, nilagyan nila ng mga soil, ng cranium, and then nilagyan nila ng seashell yung mata to replicate an individual face or a human face. Okay. So, isang uri ito ng sculpture, no? Additive yung technique, hindi katulad nun sa dalawang unang example natin ng primitive sculpture, itong Venus of Willendorf and itong carving of horse. So, subtractive yung mga yung method na ginamit dito ng sculpture. Ayan. So, those are some of our examples of prehistoric sculptures. Again, pag sinabi natin prehistoric, ito yung panahon ng mga bato, panahon ng lumang bato, panahon ng bagong bato, mga sinaunang tao. Okay? Next sa ating timeline ay yung classical period, particularly ancient civilization. Isa sa mga pinaka notable na ancient civilization ay yung Egyptian civilization. So at this point, we will be tackling Egyptian sculpture. Isa sa mga popular na sculpture discovered na during ancient Egypt is the palette of King Narmer. It's considered as the oldest Egyptian sculpture. It portrays the victory of Upper over Lower Egypt, depicting pharaohs, armies, servants, and various animals. Etong palette, ginagamit ito pang makeup. Maliit lang yan. Okay. Kung nanonood kayo ng mga historical films, kung paano pinoportray yung ancient Egypt, di ba, yung mga pharaohs, yung mga matataas sa lipunan, usually they wear makeup kahit lalaki. Itong palette na to, yun, ginagamit yan as a cosmetic product, no? As a makeup. Ayan. Status symbol ang makeup sa ancient Egypt. At sa kanilang mga cosmetic products, katulad itong palette of King Narmer, no, makikita yung art na meron sa ancient Egypt pa lang. Another example of sculpture that existed during ancient Egypt, no, was the Nefertiti bust. Ito. It is believed to um, have existed in 18th dynasty sa Egypt around 1351 to 1334 BC. Dito naman sa Nefertiti bust, ito si Queen Nefertiti, no? Pinaniniwalaan isa sa mga pinakamagagandang babae sa ancient Egypt. Particularly sa panahon kung kailan siya nabubuhay. Diba? Kaya meron siyang bust. According to some art historians, isa sa mga standard ng kagandahan, beauty standard in ancient Egypt ay yung pagkakaroon ng mahabang leeg. Kaya dito makikita nyo portrayed si Nefertiti with a long neck. Yan. Siyempre yung mga kabaong na natagpuan sa loob ng mga pyramids, no? Another great example yan, no? Kung gaano ka-exemplified yung sculpture na meron in ancient Egypt. English archaeologist Howard Carter, whose discoveries include the tomb of Tutankhamun. So, ayan yung picture na nakikita niyo sa aking slide. Ayan yung in 1922, that's a photograph of English archaeologist Howard Carter discovering the tomb of Tutankhamun na pinaniniwalaan isa sa mga pinakabatang pharaoh sa Egypt. Ayan ba? Napaka-detailed, ano ba? Hindi siya bastang simpleng kabaong lang, no, na meron tayo ngayon. Patunay kung gaano kataas, no, yung art, particularly sculpture, na meron in ancient Egypt. Siyempre, hindi din mawawala yung mga wall carvings ng mga hieroglyphs. Isang ancient writing system sa Egypt. At yung Great Sphinx of Giza na matatagpuan sa harapan ng Great Pyramid of Giza. Ito makikita ninyo sa picture. Ayan yung Great Pyramid of Giza. Sa tapat niya yung Great Sphinx. It's the most popular piece of sculpture and site of tourism destination in Egypt. It's a gigantic figure with human head, ayan, na mukhang pharaoh. Symbolic of the pharaoh, the mighty ruler of Egypt, and the body of a crouching lion, symbolic of the grandeur of Egypt. Pinaniniwalaan din ito na parang bantay siya, no, ng pyramid, kaya siya located in front of the pyramid. This type of sculpture being massively constructed qualifies it also for architecture. Dahil sobrang laki nito, no? Pwede na siyang ituring din as architecture, hindi na lang sculpture. So, mapapansin natin na kahit dalawang time periods pa lang, or kinds of societies, yung na-discuss natin, no? Prehistoric societies and then ancient Egyptian society, mapapansin niyo na yung mga art forms na meron sila, particularly yung sculpture na meron sila during their time, ay reflection kung anong klaseng lipunan mayroon sa panahon na yon. So, dito bumabalik yung purpose o yung function ng art as an artifact. Nagkakaroon tayo ng glimpse sa nakaraan because of this remains, no, artifacts na naiwan sa atin ng mga sinaunang tao na nanirahan sa panahon na ito. Okay, let's continue. Kabilang sa classical period, isa sa mga greatest civilizations ay yung ancient Greece, na nangyari sa ancient Greece. So now we will be discussing Greek sculpture. The Greeks believed in man as the measure of all things, hence their fondness of the human form. So, magre-reflect din yung ganyang klase ng belief or paniniwala ng mga tao during that time in ancient Greece sa kanilang art, specifically sa sculpture. The Parthenon is believed to be the highest expression of the Greek spirit. Ito, yung picture na nakikita ninyo, isa yun sa mga famous destination sa Athens, Greece, yung Parthenon Temple. It is described as depicting gravity, grace, harmony, and balance. The figures are generally gods conceived as heroic men and women, consisting of 350 human figures, 200 horses, and sacrificial animals. Malaki ang role ng supernatural beliefs ng mga ancient Greek sa pang-araw-araw na nangyayari sa kanila. That's how they view how the world works. Diba? Yung cosmology ng mga ancient Greeks. Halimbawa, bakit kumikidlat? Diba? Kasi nagagalit si Zeus, or bakit ang lakas ng bagyo, ng alon ng dagat, kasi nagagalit si Poseidon, no? So, karamihan sa mga nangyayari sa kanilang paligid, ang explanation dito ay galing sa kanilang mitolohiya. Kaya, ganun din, no, yung nagre-reflect sa kanilang art. Karamihan sa mga subject ng art sa ancient Greece ay may kinalaman sa kanilang mga paniniwala. Isa sa mga notable sculptor in ancient Greece ay si Phidias. He was the chief sculptor of all the figures in Parthenon. So, pumunta ka dito sa Parthenon. Sabi nga dyan, meron dyan ang 350 human figures, 200 horses and sacrificial animals. At kahit sa mga pader sa itaas, may mga ukit. Diba? Ang chief sculptor niyan ay si Phidias. Ito siya. Another notable sculptor in ancient Greece was Praxiteles. Okay, so it can be spelled Praxiteles with an X or Praxiteles. The first sculptor who portrayed the feminine body nude. Okay, siyang kauna-unahang sculptor, no, na nag-ukit ng hubad na babae in ancient Greece. Ito yung kanyang ukit, the Venus de Medici or Medici Venus. It's a 1.53 meter or 5 feet tall Hellenistic marble sculpture depicting the Greek goddess of love, Aphrodite. Again, sabi ko nga kanina, di ba, malaki yung influensya ng Greek mythology, yung kanilang mga paniniwala, at nagre-reflect ito sa subject ng kanilang mga art. Lysippus is another notable ancient Greek sculptor whose works show faces that look animated and express personality. Ito si Lysippus. One of his greatest works is the head of Alexander the Great. If you remember your world history, si Alexander the Great, kasi tinawag na the Great kasi napalawak niya yung Roman Empire. Si Alexander the Great ay student ni Aristotle, isa sa mga pinakataniyag na philosopher in the classical world or in ancient Greece. Another notable Greek sculptor was Polykletus. The sculptor Polykletus came up with the proportion of 1/7 head to the entire human form and was systematized in his treatise, The Canons of Polykletus. As shown by his sculpture, ito yun, the Rhephorus or lance and bearer. This also demonstrated the implication of movements in the monumental pose. Na hindi lang siya steady or stiff. Though yes, steady naman talaga or stiff naman talaga yung sculptor. Pero the artist can imply movement in their work, in sculpture, sa paggamit nila ng mga technique, sa pagportray nila, sa pag-ukit nila ng kanilang subject. So in general, Greek sculpture is more casual and natural than the Egyptian. Kasi nga, mas human forms yung pinoportray nila, yung subject, no? Hindi katulad sa Egyptian sculpture, symbolic ito, lalo yung hieroglyphs, di ba? Bilang ito yun yung kanilang writing system, mas natural than Egyptian yung Greek sculpture kasi nga yung ancient Egyptian sculpture, di ba? Yung Sphinx, tao yung ulo, tapos layon yung katawan. Unlike sa Greek sculpture na mas pinoportray yung human form. Greek sculpture presented as off-balanced, facial expressions are calm and thoughtful, katulad ng mga nakikita nyo. Example. Not much emotion is shown because the emphasis is on the form of the body, katulad niyan. Mas nakafocus yung artist sa katawan kaysa sa mukha. So there's not much emphasis on human emotion as shown in sa mukha. Female figures are usually fully draped, unlike male figures who are naked, but later on both were shown with little or no clothing at all. So hindi issue sa kanila no na nude yung subject ng kanilang art. Usually yung mga unang subject ng sculpture, kapag ito ay babae, ito ay may drapes or may mga taklob ng tela. But later on, parehas na yung lalaki babae ay nude or naked. Another great civilization that have existed ay yung Mesopotamian civilization. So we will also be discussing Mesopotamian sculpture. Mesopotamian sculptures come in the form of freestanding figures based on primitive composure, and frontality is used incised herringbone. The craftsmen worked and applied the technique on gold, silver, and other semi-precious stones. So, di na lamang limited sa bato, sa kahoy, yung ginagamit na medium, no, ng mga sculpture. In ancient Mesopotamia, gumagamit na rin sila ng metal, particularly gold, silver, bronze, and other semi-precious stones. So here are some examples of sculptures that is believed, no, na nag-exist in ancient Mesopotamia. Itong vessel terminating in the part of a stag, Hittite, circa 14th to 13th century BCE, now found in Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. Functional din, no? Yung purpose nitong sculpture na to, hindi lang siya basta for aesthetic. Diba? Functional din siya. Yan. Bumibutas yan sa likod. So, pwede yung lalagyan. Another example is this shaft-hole axe head with bird-headed demon, boar, and dragon. Bacteria and Magnia circa late 3rd, early 2nd millennium BCE. Ito ay matatagpuan na rin ngayon sa Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. Ito ay axe head. So, ayan, usually sharp itong edge na to. Tapos dito nilalagyan ng handle, usually made of wood. So, again, sabi ko nga kanina, hindi lang basta aesthetic yung purpose, functional din siya. And lastly, itong weight in shape of frog. Babylon circa 2000 to 6000 BCE. Also, can now be found inside the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. Timbangan yan. So, para malaman kung ilang kilo, o gano'ng kabigat yung isang bagay, ayan yung ginagamit, no? Sa pang-weight. So, functional din, no? Yung purpose. Okay. From ancient Egypt to Greek to Mesopotamia, let's now go to ancient Rome. Roman sculpture is more realistic and matter-of-fact character. Hindi katulad ng Egyptian sculpture. Most sculptures are in bust forms and represented famous men and women. Figures show individual imperfections and represented the subjects as if they were in real life. Tandaan natin na malaki yung influence sa maraming aspeto ng lipunan sa ancient Rome na nagmula sa ancient Greece. Sa paniniwala, diba? Kung may Greek mythology, may Roman mythology, na halos yung mga gods and goddesses ay parehas na parehas, nag-iba lang yung pangalan. yung democracy, diba? Namana yan ng mga Romans, yung konsepto na yan sa Athens, sa ancient Greece. At kahit sa art, malaki din yung impluensya ng ancient Greece sa Rome. So here are some examples of notable sculptures that have existed during classical period, particularly in ancient Rome. Ito yung head of Vespasian. It was during the Flavian period, around the second part of 1st century AD, that Roman sculpture reached its maturity. And example nitong head of Vespasian. Sabi natin kanina, yung ilan sa mga distinct characteristics nito ay, ayan, bust forms. They represent famous men and women in their society during their time. They show individual imperfections, katulad ng mga wrinkles, ayan, and represented the subjects as if they were in real life. Parang ano yan, parang sa atin ngayon, portrait, ayan, or picture. Siyempre wala pang camera during this time. There are two classes of Roman sculpture, portraiture and historical relief. Example ng portraiture ay ito, yung head of Vespasian. Kasi nga, parang yan yung ano nila. Picture, during the time. Picturean kita, bes, diba? O ukit sila. Ayan, so portrait ni Vespasian. At as much as possible, kinukuha yung lahat ng details kahit considered as imperfection pa ito. Diba? Kasi bahagi yun ng individuality ng isang tao. Okay. Another example or another class of Roman sculpture is historical relief. Ito yung example. Allegorical scene from the Augustan Arapacis, 13 BCE. A high point of the state Greco-Roman style. Again, nalala ninyo, isa sa mga kinds of sculpture ay relief. Pag sinabi nating relief, ibig sabihin hindi siya freestanding. Ibig sabihin, it is yung sculpture attached siya sa wall or any flat surface katulad nito. Ayan. So those are the two classes of Roman sculpture. Portraiture, ito yung example natin ng portraiture. And historical relief. Usually, relief siya kasi hindi siya freestanding, attached siya into a wall or a flat surface, and usually yung pinoportray sa sculpture, yung subject ay historical. In our next video, I will be discussing medieval period. So, part 2.